Hi guys, I'm Kallie and I'm here with Oscar Deus, and we saw The Last of Us Part 2 gameplay.
We did. We saw the same section that was shown on stage at Sony's press conference, but obviously we were allowed to study it a little bit more. We didn't have to worry about trying to write up stories at the same time.
Yeah, no taking notes this time. Actually got to look at the HUD and really analyze it, and we got to talk to the co-directors about the game, and we learned a little bit about combat that I found interesting.
Yeah, so the most notable thing that I took away from it was how brutal it was, which is pretty obvious from the trailers, that it was going to be quite a lot more punishing, perhaps, than The Last of Us, which was already a pretty rough game. It was really quite astonishing how much Ellie gets battered around, but she can handle herself. But there was something you noticed with the arrows, right?
Yeah, so at one point you see in the gameplay that we saw at Sony's press conference that she pulls an arrow out of her shoulder. And I thought that was just a new healing animation. It turns out that's an entirely new mechanic, and it's specific to arrows. So basically, it's a status effect, according to the co-directors. It affects listen mode. I think it disables listen mode completely. It affects your aim and stuff like that, and you have to actively choose to pull the arrow out and find a place to do that. And I thought that added an interesting dimension to combat that I wasn't expecting. And I think it really contextualizes Ellie as a character in some ways. She's brutal herself, and she gets brutalized in what we saw. And it can be hard to stomach in a lot of ways, but I do think that the extra animations and the details and they show how labored the combat is, and that was just one of the things. And the other thing was all the dodging you see.
Yeah.
In what they showed, it looks scripted almost. It looks really cinematic, and according to the co-directors, that's actually an active thing that you do in combat. There's a dodge button, and there's different dodge animations for different weapons and different angles. And I thought that added a lot to combat for me, and I'm interested to get my hands on that.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lot more active this time around, and it was already active in the first one, right? But we should say as well that the co-directors, Anthony Newman and Kurt Marganow, they actually said there are more status effects like this arrow one, but they're not ready to talk about it just yet. But I'm really intrigued to see what other effects there can be, because I think that's a really interesting added mechanic this time around.
Yeah, I think it also just gives you more information about who Ellie has become.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I was most curious about going in, is I knew that Ellie was going to be the main playable character, and in the first game she's naive and she's learning how to survive from Joel, and what we saw of this game, she knows how to survive, and she is hardened, and she is almost angry in her actions, and you see that a lot of that come through with those combat mechanics from what we saw.
The other thing we spoke to the co-directors about was we know multiplayer's coming back, Factions is returning, which I'm really pleased about, because
you're a big Factions fan.
I genuinely loved it. It was so good. It was announced a month or two before The Last of Us actually came out, and when it was announced, everyone was a bit this doesn't seem like it would fit The Last of Us. I thought this was just going to be a single-player story. It didn't feel like a good fit at all, but it turns out it was genuinely amazing. Trying to craft and worry about combat at the same time, it was so tense, and keeping it 4-on-4. I really hope they don't mess with the formula too much. We did ask about a Battle Royale mode as well, and they just laughed it off. Because
they complimented your sly nature.
What can I say?
You just slipped it right in there.
I'm a pro. But yeah, overall, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of The Last of Us 2 and to playing it. I really want to play it.
Yeah, that's the one thing, is we haven't physically played it. I don't know how this combat will feel, but I was really stunned to learn that it wasn't scripted. Some of those things looked super cutscene-y.
Yeah.
And they were very, very vague about a lot of details. We can't talk about other status effects.
Yeah.
No word on release date. So I'm looking forward to when they have more to show us.
Yeah, we did actually ask about release date, and they refused to say anything. We even said, could you give us a year? Is it going to be 2019? And they refused to even say that. So who knows when we're going to be playing it?
Yeah, who knows, but hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, for more on The Last of Us, we have coverage on the site already. I wrote a thing, you wrote a thing. We got this video that you're watching right now, so you know about that. But for Sony's press conference, we also have trailers and roundups. If you missed anything, if you missed that trailer, go check it out. And keep checking back for more E3 coverage.